No,
Uh,
there's nothing to learn about assignment. Like basically, whenever the test will be conducted, you will be notified about the syllabus of the test. So accordingly, syllabus prepare for the test. Getting it now. As simple as that.
okay, sir.
Priyanka, got it now?
Okay, sir.
Uh, Yes, Abu, how are you? So let's discuss what we did in the previous class. So we did talked about the tooth decay right now. We did talked about how food passes from the esophagus. We did discuss that also. Now
Yes, sir.
next we did talked about the stomach also, a J-shaped organ. Getting it? So what were the different things we studied about the stomach? Did you guys read that paragraph from the NCERT which I told you guys to read?
Yes, sir.
Uh-huh. So what did you studied in that?
Sir, um,
Hmm.
he,
There was an accident in the year 1822. Right now, there was a man who got shot in his stomach.
yes, sir.
Hmm. So everything was like he survived. That man survived, but doctors were unable to close the hole in his stomach.
Yes, sir.
Right now, so they were unable to close the hole properly, and so thereby it was not bandaged. So the doctor whose name was Beaumont, I suppose, yeah. So this doctor took it as an opportunity to study what is inside the stomach of this person, of any person. So he did observe that the food that goes into the stomach was being churned. So churning of food was happening. Like whatever food goes inside it, it is churned down. So that is what he's observed. He also observed that the end of the stomach opens into the intestine. And I did told you that there are some special muscles found here and here. Those are called as sphincter muscles. Okay, now here and here special muscles are found called as sphincter muscles, and it will not open until, like talking about this muscle over here, it will not open until the digestion of the food inside the stomach is completed. So once the food has been completely digested in the stomach, this muscle will open and the food will now go into the small intestine. So these are the things which he observed right now. So here also the food has not been completely digested. Like complete digestion of food still has not happened here. So let's understand like what happened to the food here. So understand the food that you have chewed, it why the peristalsis movement went into the esophagus and now it went inside your stomach right now. So let's understand what happens to the food. Now, your stomach consists of some gastric glands. From the esophagus, the food is going to the stomach, which is a J-shaped organ. Its walls are very thick. It has got thick walls. Getting it, guys? So thick walls of the stomach, which are present over here, the inner walls of the stomach secrete some juices right now. How do they secrete it? Like these walls have got some glands which are called as gastric glands. I suppose you guys by now you are familiar with glands, water glands. Glands secretes special juices, right now. So these glands called as gastric glands, these secretes gastric or digestive juices are secreted by them. Okay, now gastric or digestive juices are secreted by them. So what are these gastric or digestive juices? These are as follows. The first one is hydrochloric acid. You guys give the heading the stomach in your copies. Okay, now. And whatever I told you to write, write it. Hydrochloric acid is given off. It is HCl. Then it secretes another thing called as pepsin. And the third thing secreted by it is mucus. So first thing you will be writing is it is the widest part of the alimentary canal. Next you will write it is a bag-like structure in a flat, not J shape, but you will write not U shape, but you will be writing J shape. Write these two lines. After this, you will write this. The stomach's inner lining produces these three things.
Okay, sir.
Next, we will be understanding about their function also. Like what are the functions performed by each secretions, what HCl does. So hydrochloric acid now, it kills many harmful bacteria that enters in our stomach with the food. Getting it now, Abu and Priyanka? So talking about the functions of these secretions. So HCl, it kills bacteria, harmful bacteria. Okay, now apart from doing so, it makes the medium in the stomach acidic. What it does, it makes the medium in the stomach acidic, which will enhance the action of digestive enzymes. Other digestive enzymes, which will be acting on the food, it will help in enhancing its action. Are you guys able to understand what I'm saying? Yes, Abu and Priyanka, please to let me know.
No, sir.
Not getting in, look here. It makes the medium acidic, and let me first write it, and enhances the action of other digestive enzymes. Look, the thing is now, there are three main secretions secreted by the gastric glands, which are found in the thick walls of the stomach. Like HCl is there, pepsin is there, mucus is there. Okay. Now, when the food will now go into the small intestine after from the stomach, later on it will go to the small intestine. There also some juices will be secreted. See, the basic thing here is that other enzymes, other digestive enzymes like pepsin or mucus or some other enzymes will not work upon the food unless the food is made acidic in nature. Is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
For other enzymes to work, the food has to be made acidic in nature. So HCl does two functions. Abu, what are they? It kills bacteria and makes the medium basic or acidic?
Medium
Acidic, right now. Okay. So now, then you might ask, like acid, you know that the acid that is secreted from the gastric glands, it is so strong that it can dissolve a piece of iron nail. Hmm? A iron nail of this size, it will be dissolved in this acid. So obviously our stomach, which is a soft tissue, it will be getting damaged now. So there has to be something to protect the inner lining of the stomach from the action of this acid, isn't it? So there you have got mucus. It protects the inner lining of the stomach, protects the inner lining of the stomach from the action of this acid and some other enzymes also. From action of acids and enzymes. Is it clear so far? Is it clear so far?
Yes, sir.
Good. Now, what does this? Yes.
Can we write now?
Just let me write about pepsin. After this, you will be writing. Okay, now.
Okay.
What about pepsin? What does this pepsin does? See, in the acidic medium, huh, due to the secretion of HCl, the medium is now acidic. So once the medium is turned acidic in nature, thereby pepsin will start to function. Right now, it will start to function. So what this pepsin does, it will now start digesting the protein found in the food. What does it do? It starts to digest the protein found in your food. So it, 1 minute, it helps in digesting the protein. There's not sufficient space over here, just 1 minute. So see basically what will happen. The protein that is found in the food, it will, via the action of pepsin, and pepsin will act only in an acidic medium.
Sir,
Yes, Priyanka?
the screen went.
It's not visible. Sorry about that. Just 1 minute. Is it visible yet?
No, sir.
Yeah, is it now visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Sorry for the interruption. So I was talking about the protein found in the food. Abu, are you there in the class? You're not
Yeah.
responding? Okay. So what happens in the acidic medium, the pepsin starts to digest the protein found in the food. So it converts the protein found in the food into simpler form that is more soluble, which we call as peptones. So basically, the protein in your food is now converted into peptones by the action of pepsin. And where is all this process happening? In the smallest intestine or in the stomach? In the, where is all this happening?
Stom-
Hmm. It's happening in the stomach right now. Is it clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Another important thing you will be noting that HCl secreted in the stomach is a concentrated acid. Okay, it's a concentrated acid which can damage the inner lining of the stomach. Right now. So HCl secreted in the stomach is a concentrated acid, but the stomach remains safe. How is it so? Yes. How is stomach manages to remain safe? We have discussed moments ago about mucus. It protects the inner lining of the stomach from action of acids and enzymes. Okay, now. So due to secretion of mucus, you guys tell me, is it clear so far or not?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
now.
sir.
So now what has happened here? Now the food into the stomach, it is not completely digested. Remember that thing. The food in the stomach now gets converted. It is now partially digested, and now it's a semi-solid food, which you call as chyme. Note this thing down also, that the food in stomach is partially digested and converts into a semi-solid. Semi-solid, what does it mean? Yes, semi-solid, what does it mean? Neither solid, neither liquid. In between that, okay, now? Called as chyme. So now the chime will be leaving the stomach, and thereby now it will be entering into the small intestine. Via which muscles? Via the sphincter muscles found over here. Okay, now. So that's the thing about it. Note down it, or if possible, can you guys take the screenshot of it to save some time? But then, Abu, you are attending the class from your computer now, from your laptop, I believe.
Yes.
Okay, anyways. Kindly note it down. No need to draw the diagram. Just note the points which I have written and which I have underlined. Actually, you guys tell me like why you should not eat hurriedly or talk or laugh loudly while you are eating the food, because you
So,
might. Mhm.
cough or we get choked.
Mm. You might, it might cause hiccups
Yes, sir.
right now. So the basic thing is that when the food particle will be entering the windpipe instead of going into the esophagus, so it will happen in that case. And you know that the windpipe which is carrying air from the nostrils to the lungs, it is actually just adjacent to the esophagus. It is just side to the esophagus. Okay, now. Now, inside our throat, we know that air and food passes through a common passage, and we cannot breathe and swallow at the same time. Like, try breathing and swallowing at the same time, it will be difficult. You can't breathe and swallow at the same time. So, what happens? Listen carefully. What happens when you are swallowing the food? When food is swallowed, there's a flap-like valve called as epiglottis, which is found, which is basically covering the windpipe. Did you guys remember this? I did told about this. This is a epiglottis that is basically covering the windpipe, which is closing the passage between the windpipe and the esophagus. So it kind of guides the food into the esophagus. It's like a door which is shut down right now. So thereby food goes into the food pipe. But if it were to sometime accidentally remain open, so thereby the food will enter into it. Anyways, we have discussed that. Note it down. Have you guys completely understood it or not?
Yes, sir.
Okay, answer this to me. What is the function of acid secreted in the stomach?
To
Sir,
dissolve the food.
sir.
Not to dissolve the food, but the main function is just Priyanka, you were answering.
No, I was just gonna say that. Let dissolving.
It kind of helps in dissolving, but the main function of the HCl is to kill the bacteria present in the food. Huh? Another function is to make the medium in the stomach
Yes, sir.
basic or acidic. Acidic. Okay, now. Basically, the food is made acidic now. Why food has to be made acidic? How does it help?
It will kill all harmful bacteria.
We have understood that. And apart from that,
Digest.
see, as I told you moments ago, that digestive juices like pepsin, it will work only when the food is turned acidic in nature. When the food is turned acidic. Okay, now? Like pepsin will not work until HCl is secreted. until the food in your stomach is turned acidic. Okay, now? Are you guys really getting it or not? Please do let me know. Be honest. Hmm? Abu, have you understood it?
Yes.
Okay. And what does mucus do?
Sir, protects the inner living of stomach.
Inner lining of the stomach. From what? What is it protecting the
food
inner
to,
lining of the stomach from? Yes,
for the
for the
food to come out.
no. See, as I told you, that hydrochloric acid is a very strong acid which is secreted by the gastric glands present in the inner lining of the stomach. Hmm. Like this is the inner lining of the stomach, and inside this there are some glands which will be secreting all these three things. So one of them secretes HCl, and HCl is very strong. It is so strong that it can dissolve a piece of iron nail. So will it not cause harm to the stomach itself? This acid is so strong, it should be causing harm to the stomach now. Yes or no? Hmm? Yes or no, Priyanka?
Yes,
Guys,
sir.
huh. So in order to protect our stomach, there's this secretion called as mucus. It protects the inner lining of the stomach from action of acid enzymes. Hope you're getting it. Okay, do let me know how much you guys have written.
Sir, I'm writing the function.
Okay. Write it quickly, guys. Is the food completely digested in the stomach?
No, sir.
No. Good. Also, the semi-solid food, what do we call that? Prepared in the stomach? Yes. The semi-solid food, churning of food is happening in your stomach. Hmm? Churning is done. So what happens? I mean to say, what do you call the semi-solid food? It starts from C. It's called as chyme. CHYME.
Sir, after medium acidic and what is that?
And enhances the action of other digestive enzymes. Enhances. ENHANCES.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Abu, you done?
No, sir.
Okay. Next, we are going to talk about which part? of the alimentary canal? Yes,
Done, sir.
done. Which part we are going to discuss now? It's the small intestine. Okay, now. Meanwhile, you guys can answer one question to me. Like sometimes we vomit the food, huh? So it is happening due to which movement? Sometimes we vomit the food. We vomit the food when the food is rejected by the stomach. Yes. How does it happen? Like, do you guys recall about the peristaltic movement I did told you about? Peristalsis movement? Or have you forgotten about that? Priyanka and Abu, please be active in the class. Please reply actively. Have you guys forgot about the peristalsis movement?
Yes, sir.
Why is it so? Abu, can I change the slide? Are you done writing all this?
Yes.
Okay. See, look at this over here. Animation once again. Peristalsis was the movement which allows the food to pass from your stomach into your from the food pipe into the stomach. So that's how normally food goes into the stomach. Right now, in the case of vomiting, the movement will be in the upward direction. Mm. So the food goes into the stomach via a rhythmic contraction and relaxation taking place in the food pipe. So it's a wave like motion. Peristalsis is a wave like motion which allows the food to pass from the esophagus into the stomach. So, in the case of vomiting, what happens? The food is rejected. So, when the food is rejected, then in place of peristalsis movement, anti-peristalsis movement takes place. Okay, now note this somewhere. Make a bracket and note this somewhere. Okay, now anti-peristaltic movement. So in this, what will happen? Basically, the muscles of your stomach and the esophagus will do anti-peristalsis. Getting it now? So thereby, in this manner, the food is vomited out. So um, that's what happens. So the
So
Mhm.
can we write this in book?
In your book, how with the
Yeah.
help of a pencil, you can write it in your book. Okay, no? Do not use pen. The movement of stomach in case of vomiting only, it is happening. The movement of stomach and the movement of stomach and your food pipe pushes the food out from mouth in case of vomiting. So via which movement? Via the anti-peristaltic movement. After anti, there's a hyphen sign. Okay, no? Next, we are going to talk about the small intestine. So small intestine, in fact, it's the longest part of the alimentary canal. It's the longest part of the alimentary canal. So it's almost 7.5 meter in length. Okay, na? It's a 7.5 meter in length. So we will understand what happens in the case of a small intestine. Anyone knows what is the length of alimentary canal? It's somewhere between,
9
yes,
meter? 9
it
meter?
kind of varies. Okay, na? It kind of varies from person to person. About 9 meter. We can say about 9 meter. In some, it can be 8 meter also. But usually, if you say 9 meter, then it is correct. About 9 meter. Uh, okay, you guys wrote this or not? Done?
No, sir.
Okay, okay. You guys done or not? Please to let me know. Guys, I'll be back in a minute. There's someone on the door. Just give me 1 minute.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, I'm back. Okay, done?
Yes, sir.
No. You guys will be writing this also. Okay, na? Quickly write this.
So black also.
Yeah. All three of them. Meanwhile, listen to also what I'm saying. So talking about a small intestine, it will be the longest part of the alimentary canal. In this, keep in mind that we did talked about three major gastric glands, three major glands, which are also part of the alimentary canal, apart from the different organs. So in this, glands like livers and pancreas, keep that in mind also. They will also be secreting their digestive juices into it. Okay, now. So we will be understanding about that also. So particularly, the digestive juices that will be secreted in the intestines, they are named as intestinal juices. Since they are secreted by the intestines, thereby they are called as intestinal juices. So we will understand like the different glands that secrete some juices in it. Some juices are secreted by the small intestine itself. So what does it do to the food? We'll understand that in a minute. Kindly note it down first of all. Now, you might have seen that many times now people would develop acidity. So why is it acidity, or why acidity happens? Like, what is the reason behind acidity? Yes,
Sir,
Sabu. Mm-hmm.
when we eat something, the gas of the food will come.
See, normally in some cases, what happens? Excess amount of hydrochloric acid is secreted in the stomach. So you might feel kind of a burning sensation in the stomach or in the chest, usually in the stomach, huh? So that is called as acidity. So acidity is due to excessive secretion of HCl acid in the stomach. Getting it, Abu and Prinka? HCl in stomach. So in order to counter the effect of this hydrochloric acid, usually we take antacids. Antacids are what? They're opposites of acids called as basically bases. Getting it? So when you consume a base, which is basically antacids, so basically it neutralizes the effect of acid. Okay, now it neutralizes the effect of acid. So that's why doctor would recommend you to take an antacid in case of acidity. Okay, you guys noted all this or not?
No, sir.
Okay, quickly complete it. Guys, note it quickly.
Sir, we should also write acidic.
No, don't write that. But just remember that. Okay, now it's a fact you can remember. So normally, what basically happens, like acid and bases, those are completely different compounds, different substances of opposite nature. Like acid is sour in taste, bases are bitter in taste. Okay. So when an acid and bases reacts, a salt is formed. A salt is a neutral substance, neither acidic, neither basic in nature. Okay, now. So what are basic substances like soap? Soap is slippery to touch. It is basic in nature. It's bitter. Hmm. Then you have acidic substances like vinegar, that is silica. Vinegar, acids found in citric fruits like oranges. Okay, now. So what happens in acidity? Case of acidity, you take in an antacid that will neutralize the effect of acid, thereby giving you relief from the problem. Okay, can I change the slide? You guys done?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let's to talk about the small intestine. So small intestine, first thing you would be noting about the small intestine, it's the longest part of alimentary canal. So the length is almost 7.5 meters, 7.5 meter long. We know that the length of the alimentary canal in itself is around about 9 meter. So you can obviously see that almost 90% is being taken up by the small intestine. And it is said that a small intestine is that part of the alimentary canal where complete digestion of food takes place. So it is said to be site of complete digestion. We will understand in a moment why we are saying it's site of complete digestion. Okay, now that is another thing. Now a small intestine, you will be if you will see that it is found in the form of a coil. Hmm? So also talking about the name, why it is called as small, although it is so long. So here we are considering its length, not its thickness. Because if you were to look at the thickness of the small intestine as compared to large intestine, it is actually less thicker, isn't it, guys? You can observe it here also. Okay. Okay. Next point about the small intestine is that the small intestine will be receiving some secretions from where? It will receive the secretion from the liver. Okay, now it will receive the secretion from the pancreas also. So pancreas is just beneath your stomach. See this structure where I'm pointing towards. Okay, now. So here the pancreas is basically found. So it will be receiving some secretion from pancreas. By the way, both of you tell me, pancreas and the liver, are they organ or glands? Yes.
Sir, I can't hear you.
Am I audible to you, by the way, Abu?
I can't hear you because
I suppose, Priyanka, you are facing some network trouble, network issues, huh? Abu, what about you? Am I clear? Hello.
Yes, for me, you're clear.
Okay. Priyanka, please kindly check your network connection. I suppose it's not proper. Okay, now.
okay.
Mhm. Let's continue what I was telling. So these are some of the things which I told you about the small intestine so far. Another, it receives secretion from here. It receives secretion from A, from pancreas, and B, from the liver. Okay, what did we studied about liver earlier? That liver is the largest gland. Okay, now. Now, apart from these liver and pancreas, there will be some juices secreted by the small intestine itself. Okay, now. So the wall of the small intestine, it will also secrete some digestive juices, which we will be calling as intestinal juices. So another point is that the walls of the small intestine secretes intestinal juices. Okay. Now, the partially digested food that is coming from the stomach into the small intestine, now it will be getting mixed with the juices secreted by the pancreas, which are called as pancreatic juices. Okay, now. Then it will mix with the juices that are secreted by the liver. Okay, now. Like it is bile juice. So you are seeing here that the food is now mixed with three kind of juices, namely the pancreatic juices secreted by the pancreas, bile juices secreted by the liver, and the intestinal juices secreted by the walls of the small intestine. You can see this is how the wall of the intestine will look like. Hmm. If you were to take a tiny portion of the small intestine, let's take this much portion out of from here. So when you will observe it, this is how the inner lining of the small intestine looks like. Getting it? Hmm? We'll be understanding about that also. So every particular juice will be performing some functions. Like some will be breaking the fat present in the food. Someone will be will be acting on the carbohydrate and the proteins found in the food. Let's start discussing about them one by one. Talking about the liver, first of all. Liver, as you know, it's the reddish brown gland in color. It is situated in the upper part of your abdomen. You guys understand about abdomen, no? Like this part of the body is called as abdomen, below the chest, right below your rib cage. This portion is called as abdomen, where your stomach and intestine and liver is found. That area is called as abdomen. Okay, no? Okay. So liver, that is the largest gland in the body. It will be secreting a digestive juice which we call as bile juice. Now, liver is secreting the bile juice. Okay, now. But the bile juice is stored in a sac-like structure, in a bag-like structure, which we call as a gall bladder. So the one that you see in this green color, this is what? What is this? It's a gallbladder. It is called as a gallbladder. So gallbladder is nothing but it's a sac, basically a small bag-like structure, which is located near to the liver. Is it clear so far to both of you? The bile
Yes,
juice is stored in the gallbladder. Keep that in mind also. Now, the bile juice makes it possible for the body to digest the fat. Now, we did talk about digestion of food in the mouth, where starch was being broken down into maltose. We did talked about esophagus, in which nothing is happening to the food, only it acts as a passage through which food goes into the stomach. In stomach, what did we saw? We did saw that protein is being broken down into peptones, isn't it? So far, we haven't talked about fat. Okay, now. So let's understand what happens to the fat in the liver. So see, basically what will happen, the food that goes into your liver, bile juice will act upon the fat molecules. So suppose the fat molecules are this bigger in size. Suppose these are the fat molecules in the food. So the bile juice will act upon them and will convert them into tiny droplets like this, into tiny fat molecules. So these are tiny fat globules. These are called as tiny fat globules. Getting it, guys? What is happening here to the food? Is it clear so far to both of you?
Sir,
Yes.
what is the tiny?
Tiny fat globules. Just understand it like this. These are the bigger fat molecules now. These are bigger flat molecules. And these are tiny flat globules. If you're not understanding this, just understand it to be molecules. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, now.
Yes.
So the bile juice that is secreted by the liver, where does it get stored? Where is it stored? Where is it stored? It is stored in the gallbladder. Okay, now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So do one thing. It would have been better if you guys were to somehow take the screenshot. Just 1 minute. Um, do one thing. Note down the contents of this page first of all. Okay, you guys tell me one thing. Like if I were to provide you the slides of the classes, like for example, today we have discussed about stomach and small intestine. If I were to provide the all slides as of today, will you guys be able to prepare the notes, note it down in your copies and show it to me in the next class? In this manner, we can save lots of time in the class. Abu and Priyanka, what do you say? I will be providing the slides after the class, it will be sent to you. Note it down in your copy, and I will be asking you guys to show it in the next class. How will that be? Will it be okay? I think that would be much better. Huh? Priyanka and Abu,
Okay, sir.
okay, na? Because like I think in this manner, lots of time will be consumed in the class. Let's talk about the pancreas. So pancreas, this cream-colored gland that you see over here, it is located just below your stomach. It is located just below your stomach. As you can see here in this image also, this is pancreas hidden below your stomach. Now talking about the pancreas, it secretes a juice called as pancreatic juice. It secretes pancreatic juice and it's a cream colored gland present below the stomach. So let's to talk about the pancreatic juice. So pancreatic juice, what does it does? It acts upon whatever carbohydrate is present in the food and whatever protein is left in the food, and then changes them into changes them into soluble form, which the body can absorb. Getting it now? So it changes the carbohydrate and proteins into soluble form. So that's what it does. It will be changing it will basically act upon the carbohydrate and proteins and change them into soluble form. Soluble form is basically a simpler form of it, the simpler form of that. Like we talked about the starch is converted into maltose. Maltose is a simpler form of starch. Protein is converted into peptones. Peptone is a simpler form of proteins. Okay, now we have the intestinal juices also. We talked about pancreas and liver. The function of pancreas is to secrete pancreatic juices, which will be acting upon the carbohydrates and proteins and convert them into simpler forms. Talking about the liver will be breaking down the fats by the help of bile juice. Getting it now? Let's to talk about the intestinal juices. So what does the intestinal juices do? This one is very much very important. Intestinal juices. So what happens? The food is still partially digested. Now in the case of now the to the still partially digested food, what happens? You have known that digestion, which itself has started from your mouth, and it is now going to be completed in the small intestine. So the enzymes in the small intestines acts upon the partially digested food and finally will be converting it into simpler soluble substances. So as a result of this, what basically happens, the carbohydrate has now got broken into glucose. The carbohydrate is now broken into glucose, a simpler form. Glucose is a simpler form of food. Getting it? Apart from this, moments ago we did studied about fat also. Fat is now further converted into more simpler forms. Getting it? So what happens? Now fats, via the action of intestinal juice, will be now broken into fatty acids. Fatty acids and another simpler form of fat which you call as glycerol. These are the terminologies which you guys have to remember. Okay, now. And talking about it's TS only, FATS. Talking about proteins. Proteins, moments ago, I did told you that why the action of this in the stomach, why the action of pepsin, there it was getting converted into peptones. Here, due to the action of the intestinal juices, it will now be converting the protein into amino acids. So note this thing down that the intestinal juices converts the carbohydrate into glucose. It converts whatever fat is left in the food into fatty acids and glycerol. It converts protein into amino acids. So don't mix all this with what you studied in the case of pancreas and liver. Otherwise, you will be getting confused. Okay, now? Okay, guys. So in the case of bile juice, what you studied that here in this case, it helps in digestion of fat. So it will be converting the big droplets of fat into smaller droplets. Big droplets of fats are converted to smaller droplets. That's it. That's what the bile juice does. So it basically breaks the big droplets into smaller droplets, and further it will help in making its digestion easier. Talking about the pancreas, it secretes a pancreatic juices and it acts upon the proteins and carbohydrates and converts it into simpler form. But when you talk about the intestinal juices which are secreted from the inner walls of the small intestine, it will be converting it from one thing to another. It will be converting carbohydrate into glucose. It will convert the fat into fatty acids and glycerol, and proteins into amino acids. Got it or not? We have to memorize this. Okay, now? Priyanka and Abu, you guys understood it so far or not? Please do let me know.
So proteins and what's that?
Amino acids. AMINO ACIDS.
Okay, sir.
Okay, now? Okay, so that's it for today. In the next class, I would be asking some questions from this. Okay, now? Also, the slides, I will be providing screenshots of the slides to you. Make sure you note it down in your copies. Okay. All right, now. So note this thing here, that complete digestion of food has been has taken place in the small intestine. The food that was earlier partially digested, when it reached the when it reached the lower part of the small intestine, like when it goes to the lower part of the small intestine, there the intestinal juices will break down all the components found in the food. Normally, the food that you eat, what does it consist of? It consists of carbohydrate, fat, and protein. Right now, normally in your diet, you will be having all these components in your food. These are the major components. Getting it, guys? So make sure that you memorize all this. I will be asking in the next class. In the next class, we will be talking about the absorption of the food in the small intestine. We only have talked about how food is broken into different components. Next, we'll talk about the absorption of food in the small intestine. Then later on, we'll talk about the large intestine. So where all the water that is available left in the food will not be absorbed.